Phillip Schofield, one of the best-known presenters in the country, has stepped down from ITV with immediate effect. He was slated to present a forthcoming primetime show. That's gone. And also an awards ceremony. That is gone. He's been dumped by his agent. They are called YMU. And what's extraordinary is that he owns part of that company. He's been fired by a company that he owns shares in. And he has admitted to lying to his colleagues and the media about an affair he had with a younger male ITV employee. He said, "I'm very deeply sorry for having misled." He has also given more detail about the circumstances of this relationship. Contrary to speculation, whilst I met the man when he was a teenager and was asked to help him get into television, it was only after he started to work on the show that it became more than just a friendship. That relationship was unwise, but not illegal. It is now over. Well, is his career now over? We are going to be speaking to some of the biggest agents in the country, also top TV stars and journalists who are in on this. Let's have a look now at the statement from his agent. They are, of course, YMU Group. They're a massive agency. They represent Ant and Dec and many other big stars. And here's what Mary Beckhate, the CEO, has said about that. And let me take it away. She said, "Honesty and integrity are core values for YMU's whole business, defining everything we do. Talent management is a relationship based entirely on trust. This week, we've learned important new information about our client, Phillip Schofield. These facts contradicted what Phillip had previously told YMU, as well as the external advisors we'd brought in to support him. As a result, on Thursday, we agreed to part company with Phillip with immediate effect." Is there anyone this man hasn't lied to about his relationship with the younger man who worked at ITV? Let's get reaction now from GB News star and somebody that was a regular on This Morning, Bev Turner. Hi, Bev.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Listen, I'm very well. I'm apologising to interrupt that bottle of Pinot Grigio, but your reaction, there it is. It was a good guess. Your reaction to this bombshell story. Schofield dumped by his agent and he leaves ITV with immediate effect.
It's the worst kept secret in TV that Phillip Schofield was having relationships with other men whilst he was still married. I was in the studio, Mark, on the day when he did his big reveal with Holly, holding his hand, and it was all very emotional. And we didn't know, actually. I was on there to do the news review, and we didn't know that this particular story was going to break. But there was a weird atmosphere in the studio. His agents were there. Funnily enough, I didn't know Mary's. I know Mary Baker, who looks after him. But they're a good team. They're good people that work at that agency. They're going to be all having quite a difficult evening tonight. But I was in the studio that day. We didn't know what was coming. He sat on the sofa. He did his big reveal. And then we had to go in and talk about the other news of the day. But there was obviously just this huge one big story in town. And at the time, I said, I wonder which newspaper is about to out him, because I didn't buy for a second that this was a genuine, suddenly he'd decided to do the right thing by his wife. I just knew he was going to be outed by a newspaper. Sure enough, the next day did a sit down with the Sun, and that kind of answered that question. So I would suspect, call me cynical, that there'll be something else that will emerge over the weekend in the papers and into next week, because it's quite a big thing for his agents to ditch him. He's been with them for years and years and years. So have they got pressure from other clients? That's the other suspicion. You think if there is going to be more darkness which is about to swirl around the brand of Phillip Schofield, are there other clients who are saying, we don't want to be associated with this? Everybody's very good at turning a blind eye and keeping quiet, but as soon as they think there might be a little bit of kickback on them, maybe they are not quite as supportive of their former friend as they used to be.
Tell me about the Phillip Schofield that you know, having been a regular on the This Morning sofa.
Well, he's quite hard to know, I would say. And in fact, I've written a piece on the GB News website, which has been read by about 500,000. Well, it's not that amazing, but it's been read by 500,000 people in the last 3 days. So clearly people are interested in this topic. He's quite difficult to get to know. I would say, it's like, Mark, when you're hosting a live show like this and you have guests coming in and out of the studio, there isn't necessarily time to chat. So you don't expect there to be tons of conversation. But when I'm doing To the Point with Andrew Pierce every morning on GB News, 9:30 till 12, I make sure that when guests come in, if I've not met them, I will shake their hand. If I've met them before, they normally don't escape without a hug and a kiss, to be fair. But Phillip Schofield is quite a closed book. He's a bit of a cold fish. That would be my impression of him. And there were some times when I would try to, we had mutual friends who'd moved into the same area. I had friends who were his new neighbours, or he'd moved into a street actually just a little bit down the road from me. And yet there was never any attempt to, kind of follow up that sort of conversation. If I was being completely honest, it was almost a little bit like he was hiding something. And crikey, how exhausting must it have been to hide for all those years when he was married that he was having relationships with men? I mean, talk about, in a sense, there must be a huge revelation, relief for him that he can now live this life. And now it's all come crashing down. He's come out, he's living the life I guess he always wanted to live. And now what on earth is going to happen to his career?
Well, that's a brilliant question. Do stay with us, Bev. Have a quick swig while I bring on our next entertainment reporter. Who have we got, Greg, coming in? Let's speak to Ellie Phillips now, who is a top showbiz journalist who joins us alongside Bev Turner. You're missing a little glass of something white and strong there, Ellie, but let's get to this story. Do you think that Phillip Schofield's TV career is now over?
Yeah, 100% it's done. There's no way that he can come back from this. I think once an agent's like YMU, for them to have dropped him with immediate effect, for him to have resigned from ITV, stepped down from hosting the British Soap Awards, which were meant to be at the beginning of next month. He's no longer going to be doing Dancing on Ice. There's just no coming back. And at the end of the day, he's 61. Right. I think, realistically, would his career have gone on for that much longer anyway? No, he won't come back from this.
Right. Yes, indeed. Now, listen, let's talk about some of his colleagues. Do you think that, Ellie, this could impact the reputation of Holly Willoughby, his former co-host?
I think possibly. The thing I would say is I'd like everyone to realise who's watching this that what you see on camera in terms of the length of time that, for example, Holly and Phil were on this morning does not reflect what happens behind the scenes in terms of producers working there and your runners and things like that. So when people are saying, who knew, how long did they know for? A lot of the people working there now will not have worked there when this young man was working for this morning. So I don't think it's right to condemn, a whole programme or a whole station because of the actions of one person. I'm not sure how Holly Willoughby comes out of this because they were so close, they were such close friends. But it's also got to be said that one of the reports that came out and one of the reasons that they allegedly fell out so recently is because she said she was upset, allegedly, that he hadn't warned her about what was going to come out about his brother, Timothy, who was just last Friday convicted of those 11 child sex offences and sentenced to 12 years in prison. And she has said through people or through rumours or whatever that she didn't know, and that was one of the big problems in their relationship. So was this something that he also hid from Holly? I'm not sure. I think, like Beth said earlier, it's one of the worst kept secrets in the industry. We all know who this young man is. We all know what he looks like. We know where he worked. We know where he went afterwards. We know exactly what happened because everyone knew about it. But until someone was willing to put their head above the parapet and say, this was an affair, this was someone that he met when they were a teenager, that he helped to get into television, and then they started this romantic relationship, until someone who had concrete evidence of that or was firsthand there, it was just rumours and speculation. And so I think I agree with Bev once again, more is going to come out of this in the week to follow.
Well, of course, Mr. Schofield is not here to defend himself. He would certainly challenge any allegations that he had any relationship with somebody underage. That's certainly not an accusation on the table. He has said, however, that though the relationship was legal, it was unwise. Briefly, Bev Turner, very unwise. It's just a very, very bad look for a powerful figure. How do you think he managed to get back on air this week? That's not great for ITV, is it, when they spent a week with Holly and Phil back on this morning, pretending nothing had happened?
I don't know whether you've seen The Morning Show on Apple TV. There is a drama, an American drama, and it's about something which is scarily similar to this. Not quite in the same way, but where the parallel does stand up, which is this idea that the famous, rich, wealthy, powerful man is able to get away with things behind the scenes because everybody around buys into it. Nobody asks the tough questions. Nobody wants to rock the boat. And so really, I think what's happened here is like the ship has started to sink, and the rats have scattered. Everybody's just run. Looking after their own skin, looking after their own backs. And I would repeat this. I think it's really important actually to point out that he hasn't done anything illegal. This young man that he had this relationship with, there was clearly a significant age difference, but he wasn't a young person. He wasn't underage for the activities that he was engaging in with Philip. So in a way, maybe that's why the people around him did just turn a blind eye and think, well, you know, we don't want to upset the golden goose. He's laying too many eggs. We're not going to rock the boat here. Let's just keep him on telly, keep it quiet. I don't know how they did it for so long, to be honest. That's what's remarkable, is that he was able to be protected for so many years. And let's see what happens now. I think what's happened with Holly, my opinion on this is I've noticed recently she's been on quite a journey, to use that terrible phrase. She's set up this business. She's got a very successful, it's a bit like Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, and it's a brand lifestyle. It's quite good, I have to say. I like it. I like the ethos of the brand. I like the ethos of the products. And Holly Willoughby, you could quite clearly see on the TV, she was getting a bit sick of playing second fiddle to Phillip Schofield. She'd been in his shadow for so long. When you're on that sofa, it's quite clear who's driving that program and who is the passenger. And I think she's probably got a bit sick of that. And now, well, guess what? Might just be Holly's time. That's all right.
Well, it might be. Final thoughts on this, Ellie. I've only got a few seconds, so briefly, if you can.
Just going to say as well, I think that the telling thing about one of the statement as well is that he specified that when he left this morning a week ago, that was unrelated to anything that he addressed in the statement today. And that was not even a week ago. So that does lend you to think that more stuff is going to come out. And also, as to what Beverly said, it's not illegal at all. But it does ask the question in terms of, positions of power, dynamics in the workplace, whether it's right or morally right to have, we know it's not morally right to have an affair, but to have relationships with someone in the workplace when there's such a huge power dynamic difference between them. So they're the questions that are coming out at the moment, and who knows what more will come about this unrelated matter, which he says is why he left this morning.